Hey guys, today's your lucky day because today is Walther-Mania Day. Okay, the backstory is a friend of mine who is also a Walther collector decided it was time to thin the herd. So he gave me some Walthers that are worthy of my collection. Believe me, I wish I could keep every one of these. I did keep some of them, but all of these will be available on our site as soon as we can get them listed. Now, Walthers, as most of you know, is my favorite gun to collect. Now, I don't often admit that. I was actually pressed into it yesterday because somebody said, "What's your favorite gun?" And that's like asking, which is your favorite child? You say, "I love them all the same." And so that's what I said. They said, "What's your favorite gun to collect?" I go, "Really? I love them all." And they pressed me. They didn't accept that answer. Really, what is your favorite gun to collect? And I said, I have to admit, Walther PPs and PPKs. And that's what I got in. So it was my lucky day. And hopefully you'll want to watch this video just to see some really nice Walthers. So come take a look and see if there's something here you like. Okay, these are about half of what I got in, all Walther PPKs and PPs. These are among the best, though, that I wanted to highlight for you. And again, be watching the website because a lot of these Walthers will be coming out. Now, I also arranged them just for your education. You know, I've talked before about the progression of the grips. I've talked about the progression of the magazines. And now let's take a look at the progression of the finish. This is about 1938, so it's pre-World War II. And look at the nice high polished finish. And we go by years all the way to the end of production in 1944, and you can see the differences in the finish. From a dull, here you see dull finish with machine marks where they didn't polish it at all, and here you can see how nice and shiny the high polished finish is. Now you'll notice right away this is a party leader. Absolutely gorgeous. I would rate it 99%. And the bore, remember that I just did a bore video? The bore is easily a 9 out of 10. So this is a near perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect party leader grip. If it's perfect, then it's a repro. Because these always have little stress cracks. Oh, I found one. Tiny stress crack right there. Not even worth mentioning. I think I mentioned on the bore video. I'm a big picture guy. This is a gun that I would want to own. Now, unfortunately for collectors, not unfortunately for me because I have a few, these have really soared in price. I did a video not too long ago where I went to an auction and I said I'm going to bid this to about $15,000. It ended up selling for about $25,000. So the price range on these can be anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. I think the 25 was a bit of an anomaly, but you can see how nice this party leader grip is. Now, I've said this before, my caution is if you want to buy one, go through a reputable dealer or even check with us and we can advise you. We can't always tell from pictures, and so that makes it really hard. When the pictures are not very good, it's hard to tell the fake from the real one. But in hand, we can always tell, and you should not be buying a party leader without some expert advice because these are heavily reproduced. And by the way, the people who reproduce these are not necessarily crooks because they'll say, I'm selling you a reproduction grip, it makes a nice display, but then the person who buys it sends it off to an auction company to distance himself, and then the auction company sells it as an original. So just be careful of that. Here is the early magazine, Walther banner only, in the same condition as the gun, just absolutely beautiful. And then there's no lip. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I did a video. The earliest variation had no lip. This now takes us to the last of the high polished guns. This is a high polished gun. This is a high polished gun, but not quite as blued. You know, it's like the blue got a little bit duller. This is about 1941, 1942, a Police Eagle C. And remember the lip, that's the full lip. This one had collagen put in, and this one did not. So this is of course I'm joking. This is a later magazine, and you can see it has the caliber and the banner. The other one just had the banner. And I already mentioned it's a police variation. Look at this. This is also maybe not 99, but probably 98. And I already said, so now it's got the eagle end proof because the war started. So 1941, 1942, the war is going on. This was Crown N, which is pre-war. So the war started in 39. The Crown N went away at the end of 39. So it's kind of easy to keep track of when these were made. And you can see the quality of the finish. Now, the war's going on and the demand is getting greater and greater, so they dull the finish down a little bit. This is mid-war, so probably 1943, and you can see Waffen stamps. And you see the grip went from this brown to this dark brown, almost gray, and this is a Waffen-proof gun. These are now, the Waffen-proof guns are selling in the 3,200 to 3,500. And after that, the next one we're going to look at, so that's the Waffen-proof. Here's one, look at the grip. This is a little more gray. Remember, I did the progression from brown to a darker brown to a gray. And this one is Doral. You can see the little line here where the aluminum frame reaches the metal, the steel barrel. So this is Doral aluminum, and it is an anodized finish. So instead of bluing it, it's an anodized finish. I think this one, oh no, this is steel. This is steel. No line here. This is aluminum and connected to the steel barrel. So you can see the finish here. This is also about 1943. And then we go in 1944, we go to black. Now this is also aluminum. You can see the break right there. You can see the finish. Again, you can see the machine marks here. This is 1944. They actually stopped making them in about the 430,000 range, so this is very much at the end of production, but not into 45 because they stopped making them in 44. The PP went to 1945. There you see lip, black, commercial, which is similar to this. And this one is from 428. Remember, this one was 429. Remember, this is a police gun, but this is an Eagle F compared to the Eagle C. Most of the PPKs that are police are Eagle C. This is an Eagle F, which is very rare. The Eagle F, they only made about 1,200 of them. Now, the police gun would have a flat bottom magazine because they didn't care about the pinky finger. Commercial ones, you could order them with the finger extension for your little pinky. Isn't that sweet? You can put your pinky there. The police and the military didn't care about that, so they had a flat bottom. Military one I showed you before has a flat bottom. Now, I didn't mention pricing on these, but these Doral aluminum in this condition, they're probably about 2,500 to near 3,000. However, the Eagle F, because they only made 1,200 of them, keep in mind these sell for about 3,000 to 3,500, and they made tens of thousands of them. These they only made 1,200. This is the rarest of the police guns, and this will sell in the 4,500 range. Now let's move over to PP. So there's the PPKs and the progression of manufacturing, you can see, from 38 all the way to 44. Now we're going to go over to the PPs. This is the first one that I've highlighted here. It's certainly not a really early gun. In fact, you see the Eagle N. So it already starts, this is 1941, and you can see it has a high polished finish. But I wanted to show this to you because it has that plum look. And that happened, that was a metallurgical issue where the way they treated the metal before they put the bluing on, that's what I'm told. If you're a metallurgist, you can feel free to politely correct me, but I'm told it's the way they prep the metal. And it's very common in the Walther factory, not real common, but people like this plum finish with the bluing here. This is also Doral aluminum. You can see the line. This one's a little harder to see, but you can see where the Doral aluminum frame meets the steel barrel. There's the magazine that has the caliber, but again, it's about 1941. You can see the finish there. This is also Doral, but this has a box mag. It's kind of rare. Not too many people order it. This would be a commercial model because it's not police and not military. This is also a commercial model, and you could order the box mag, and I rarely see them. This is a wartime box mag. It does not extend the magazine, so it doesn't give you an extra round. it's still 7 rounds in a PP. If it's 32 caliber, the box magazine is just for somebody who likes that wider grip. So it doesn't add a whole lot, but adds the grip compared to the little finger extension. So there's the finishes in the early war years. This is also this is like one of the last of the high polish finishes, and it's not real high polish. If I go back to the party leader and bring that out, you can see just minor differences. You can see this is just a little more high polished than this, but this is still a wartime PP Waffen stamp. So this went to the military. I've said before, the higher the rank, the smaller the gun. So the PPKs went to officers, PPs went to officers. And so when I tell people this is most likely an officer's gun, they say, how do you know? It's just because it's the smaller caliber. The standard troops, probably up through lieutenant, would carry the Luger or the P-38, and then officers would get one of these. This is actually issued to the Luftwaffe because of the serial range. So you see the Waffen stamp, just like we saw on the PPK. But it has a numbered slide, and that was the Luftwaffe contract. Yes, that's my next book. But for those of you who said, can we order it yet? I haven't even started it. I have all the data. I have to write it. But this is a Luftwaffe contract, and they would have come with 2 matching magazines. In this case, it does come with a Luftwaffe-style numbered magazine. The Luftwaffe style was that it would be on the bottom, not on the spine, not on the side, but on the bottom. And it doesn't have the P or the K in the case of a PPK. It has the number without the P, and there's no 1 or 2 underneath. So this is a Luftwaffe-style magazine with a Luftwaffe contract gun. This is going to sell somewhere in the $2,500 to $2,800 range. I don't think I gave a price on these, but these are about $25. This box mag, because of the rarity, the box mag sells for $600 to $800 just by itself. Okay, so the final row, again, I'm showing you the progression of finish. High polish, now we're into the duller finish. We did a whole video about the red grip, how out of the blue, just like they did the gray grip on the PPK, they did the red grip. This is Waffen-proof, not go to the Luftwaffe, even though it's numbered there. That's because at around 250,000, they numbered all of them on the slide. And for the PPK, it was about 320,000 to 350,000. They started numbering the slides. Before that, slides are not numbered, before about 320,000. This comes with the correct flat bottom magazine. Again, a commercial would have a finger extension as an option, not required, but it's an option that you could buy. And this has the Walther banner and the caliber and a flat bottom, red grip. When I did the video, I had 4 or 5 of them with the red grips and some of the Waffen-proof ones. These sell in the $2,800 to $3,000 range. Now the next ones are unusual because late war, they began to run out of the resins to make this grip. And so they for a short period of time, also used a wooden grip. You can see the Walther banner. You can see how the wood grip, this one's a little bit darker, but it looks like they use like a beech wood and a stain. Let's see if there's differences in color. This is a little blonder. Again, you see the Walther banner, and that's a little darker. So if I compare them, you can see on the left side is blonde, this is a little darker. That's not universally true, it's just interesting anomaly. I've sold guns and people have said to me, can I swap the grip? Do you have one that's a better match? This one's a little lighter than this one. Could you have one that would be a lighter so that they would match? And I say, don't mess with history. How do we know that this is not the way it left the factory? In fact, unless I have compelling evidence that it did not leave the factory this way, leave it alone. I say this all the time, they were making these guns for war, not for collectors. So when this was going out the door, no inspector would look at this and say, oh my gosh, what idiot put this discolored grip on that? Send it back and get one that's a little more blonde. Didn't happen. They were actually using slave labor who would be punished, imprisoned, or sent to a concentration camp if they fell behind on production. And so their goal was to get these out as quickly as possible. Those people out there who say they did not use slave labor, yes, they did. It's documented. They had 6,000 Polish slave laborers working at the factory when the GIs came in April of 1945. So here we have, and by the way, this is a gun that was picked up by the GIs in April of 1945. I'm going to show you that one last. But these two with the wooden grips, one is Police Eagle F. Now remember, on the PPK, the Police Eagle F, they only made 1,200. On the PP, they're a lot more common and therefore not as expensive. So the Police Eagle F, I see these selling in the 2,000 to 2,500 range. And then the late war Waffenproof went to the military, not Luftwaffe, but just to the military. We're not sure where it actually ended up, but again, probably an officer's pistol, late war, and this one is 1944. And you see the quality of the finish. These are all beautiful guns, I already mentioned that. And by the way, on these late war guns, if it's late 44, early 45, not only is it Walther banner and caliber, but sometimes on the back it'll have a W. W on the back is usually from 44 to 45, and it means unhardened. And that's just, again, they were skipping steps in order to increase production. And so they would use an unhardened magazine, and not sure why they had to make it that, not sure why they had to mark it that way. I think if I skipped a step, I wouldn't want to put it on there, but for some reason they put the W, and that's a late war magazine that is very desirable. So this is one of my favorite guns on the table, and probably will sell for a premium just because of the history of this gun. So this had no finish, never had a finish. If I'm a detective, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So they grabbed the GIs came into the factory. They either put them together themselves. There's stories from the GIs. GIs said, I found parts and put them together, but there's also stories where they gave the Polish workers food, cigarettes, sometimes money, in order to put the guns together, and they were happy to do so. Those of you who say, well, they should have freed them, they actually did, but they couldn't go home. So in other words, the war is still going on. They free the Polish workers, and they just aimlessly start walking north. They run into the Russian army, who are going to say, where are your papers? And when they don't have papers, it was just dangerous to travel up until the war was over. So the Polish workers hung around till middle of May looking for food and clothing and necessities. And so the American soldiers paid them to put them together. So these were probably put together by Polish workers. And by the way, one other side story that you don't have to pay extra for. The 6,000 Polish workers not only stayed and helped, but the Americans had to stop them from going to the Walther house to kill the Walther family. So there was no strong feelings toward the Walther family, but there was an account of some of the officers stopping the Polish workers from storming the house of the Walther family, but they paid them to stay and put together guns. Now, this is a gun that was put together in April of 1945. You can see the no finish, no legend, no red dot, but they took parts that were already blued. So they had bins of parts, and they would grab the part and put it on. So they'd grab a blued part, put it on an unfinished magazine. That's got the W, unhardened. This grip, I'm not sure if it's an early one or not. Can't see in there, but blued, hammers blued, no finish here, blued, and look at this. So there's a serial number here, but no serial number on the frame. The AC is the code for the Walther factory, and this number is just one of the last ones made. So this is put together from parts, very unique gun, very rare, very desirable. One more thing before we finish up. I set these two things aside, but this is a police style. That eagle is unique. It's the short-winged, looked like a stubby wing eagle, 1942. That actually came with the Police Eagle C. And by the way, this should be a flat bottom. If those of you are watching and we're about to comment, you're right, that should be flat bottom. At some point, somebody swapped that out. I can put it back to a flat bottom, but I'll leave it alone. The police would not have bought it with the pinky finger. So somebody added that. But this is a police holster, police style holster for a PPK. and it has a spare mag in it, and this is in excellent condition. And this holster, I usually see with a PPK, but it does fit a PP, and this came with a Waffen-proofed PP, and we'll take a look at the fit here, and it fits perfectly, nice and tight. The gun is in a little bit better condition than the holster. You can see there's a marking, and it's, on the pebble grain they're almost impossible to see, but there is a marking, and you have to be very careful with the pebble grain, because if it has a Waffen stamp, sometimes it gets lost in the grain, and where you look is here and here for the Waffen stamp, and then sometimes inside it'll be stamped on the inside, which is a lot easier to read. This one I didn't see stamped other than maker mark. I did not see a Waffen stamp. Okay, Walther-Mania is over. Now it's time for me to go find some Lugers. I hope you learned something today. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, and check out our website so you can see some of these beautiful guns.